In a world where logic and reason sometimes take a back seat to the whims of the political drama, the latest shenanigans from the White House set the stage for a spectacle worthy of its own reality show. That's right, folks, President Donald J. Trump is back at it again, wielding his executive pen like an overzealous maestro conducting an orchestra of bureaucratic chaos. And in this episode of As the Government Turns, we find ourselves amidst a whirlwind of legal memos and Supreme Court rulings that have both excited and perplexed the legal experts of our fair nation. The White House has just dropped a bombshell memo outlining the top 10 Supreme Court rulings that federal agencies must adhere to. Now, you might be thinking, finally, some accountability, but hold on to your Make America Great Again hats, because not everyone is convinced this directive will be enforced with the vigor it deserves. Carrie Severino of the Judicial Crisis Network is optimistic, describing this memorandum as refreshing and novel in a good way, because let's face it, a government that actually follows the law is about as rare as a unicorn sighting in the Rose Garden. This memo, which came hot off the press on April 9th, demands that agencies rescind regulations that don't jive with these 10 recent Supreme Court decisions. It's all part of a grand scheme to rein in the so-called administrative state, a term that has become a catch-all for anything that involves too much government meddling. And let's be honest, who doesn't love a good rollback of regulations that are crippling American enterprise? The memo's title is a mouthful: President Donald J. Trump directs repeal of regulations that are unlawful under 10 recent Supreme Court decisions. It's almost as if someone handed the president a thesaurus and told him to go wild. The cases listed in this memo align perfectly with Trump's deregulatory agenda, and even throw in a jab at those pesky DEI initiatives while they're at it. Loper Bright Enterprises via Raimondo, West Virginia via EPA, and Students for Fair Admissions via. President and fellows of Harvard College are just a few of the legal celebrities gracing this list. The Loper Bright and West Virginia cases, in particular, have been hailed as triumphant victories in the battle against overreaching executive agencies. These rulings have effectively clipped the wings of bureaucratic eagles that once soared too high, issuing rules and regulations willy-nilly. Meanwhile, the Students for Fair Admissions case has struck a blow against affirmative action in university admissions because apparently fairness is overrated. White House spokesperson Taylor Rogers couldn't resist a victory lap, proclaiming, "The president continues to deliver on his promises to roll back regulations and government overreach." It's almost as if they're checking off a to-do list. Build a wall? Check. Repeal regulations? Check. Make sense of it all? Well, that's a work in progress. But before we pop the champagne, it's worth noting that many of these cases are not retroactive. Regulations issued before these decisions won't be vanishing into thin air. However, there's a glimmer of hope that agencies might take a stroll down memory lane, reevaluating their previous rules with these new Supreme Court standards in mind. It's like a bureaucratic version of Marie Kondo. Does this regulation spark joy, or is it time to thank it for its service and bid it farewell? Now let's turn our attention to the courtroom drama that could rival any primetime legal series. Daniel Huff, a senior legal fellow at the American Path Initiative, suggests that agencies should use these Supreme Court opinions as a way to tidy up their regulatory clutter. It's all about finding those elephants in mouse holes and unraveling the tangled web of compliance burdens that have been spun over the years. And who doesn't love a good elephant metaphor in their legal analysis? Kara Rollins, a lawyer for the New Civil Liberties Alliance, raises an eyebrow at the administration's enforcement of this directive. She points out that there are already cases in the pipeline where the Department of Justice or agencies are seemingly oblivious to the memo's existence. It's like watching a soap opera where the characters just don't communicate, leading to all sorts of misunderstandings and prolonged plot lines. Rollins wonders who's going to step in and say, "Hey, remember that memo? We might want to reconsider our position here." Ah, the joys of litigation. Rollins, with her litigator hat firmly in place, is concerned that agencies haven't quite caught up with the Supreme Court's opinions. It's almost as if there's a disconnect between the president's grand pronouncements and what's happening on the ground. It's like watching a magician who forgot to practice the disappearing act before stepping on stage. In this memo-driven saga, Trump directs agencies to employ the Administrative Procedure Act's good cause exception, a loophole that lets them skip the usual notice and comment rulemaking process. It's like a bureaucratic fast pass. And who doesn't love cutting to the front of the line? Daniel Huff chimes in, arguing that there's less need for the regular process since agencies are just revisiting old rules rather than conjuring new ones. It's all about restoring the original status quo, like hitting the reset button on a government-sized Etch-a-Sketch. Of course, Severino warns that there could be litigation over the use of this very broad exception, but she's confident that there are strong arguments to back it up. After all, laws must keep with constitutional limits, and they must naturally be in the public interest. Because if there's one thing we know, it's that constitutional limits and public interest are never subject to interpretation or debate. And there you have it, folks, another episode in the never-ending saga of American politics. But before we wrap up, let's take a moment for some shameless self-promotion. If you've enjoyed this satirical romp through the latest political antics, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up. Your likes and comments are the lifeblood of our channel, and who knows, maybe we'll even address your witty observations in our next video. Now, dear viewers, we turn the spotlight on you. What do you think of this latest memo from the Trump administration? Do you believe it will usher in a new era of accountability, or is it just another chapter in the ongoing bureaucratic soap opera? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's keep the conversation going. After all, in the world of politics, there's never a dull moment.